Shunvitam yena taismahe shivurave Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasada Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nandi Namaste Sarasvati Devi Purnavami Pachari Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Kachachari Shatani Certain bhaktas are proud to have power, ecstasy. Others are frustrated not to have spiritual strength. The reality is that we should be simply situated in humility. Neither be proud, neither be desperate. But we should understand that there is one truth, is that the Lord is the one who gives the strength, the spiritual strength. He gives the ecstasy. He gives the experience, realization. Without Him, we only make a show. We try by our own means to attain happiness. But whether it is from the spiritual or material point of view, they're only fruitive happiness. The true objective is to exist for Him and by Him. This is our goal, and it is difficult. It's true. It's difficult. Why? Because for lives and lifetime after lifetime, we simply tried on our own to maintain ourselves and establish a position in this world. That's why we have difficulty. It is something that is quite anchored into us. And finally, when we enter into contact with spiritual life, the holy name, we are confronted with surrendering so we can taste something. Because the path of devotion is not possible to be experienced otherwise. Krishna explains that we can obtain me by pure devotion, and that's where it's difficult. Because at the beginning, we have a more humble attitude. We explain that the devotees, they have wonderful experiences at the beginning and then it disappears. Not all, but often it's like this. And after, we take back our usual routine of wanting to be the controller of our life. But from there, in spiritual life, there's no taste will appear because we try by an artificial means to connect ourselves with Krishna. That's why all saints, they put a lot of emphasis, they explained a lot the principle of humility. If you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, all the acharyas wrote chants, songs. They showed very important aspect on humility. And we see also with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even Nityananda Prabhu. For example, Nitai was often in the house of Shivas Pandit. And when he was in the house of Shivas Thakur, he had a very humble mood. How was his mood of humility? He was in the mood of a child. A child, it means that he depended on everything through Malati, whom he considered to be like his mother. And Malati, she had so much love for Nitai that breast was coming out of her breast. And Nitai was drinking the milk from her breast. But Nitai was big at that time, was an adult. But for the Lord, there's no difference between his age, his mood. Breathe. You're too much agitated. Breathe. There's no difference. When Nitai had this mood, Malati was reciprocating with him. And this is what is wonderful. And in the same way, it is explained that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, everywhere he went to see his devotee, he was showing his form of the Supreme Lord. It is interesting because we see many so-called avatars, they exist on the planet Earth. But are they able to show their divine form? We never saw Sai Baba show 4 arms, or Mira, or Amma. They consider to be like divine mothers, avatars, but they don't show four arms or the universal form. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every time he went to see a devotee in these moments, he showed a particular form of the Supreme Lord that each devotee appreciated. It's interesting. It's really particular. And when Nitai was with Mother Sachi, she nourished her children because she considered Nitai like her child. And Nitai was always trying to catch the feet of Mother Sachi, always, just like a child. And Mother Sachi was always avoiding so he could catch her feet. It was an ecstatic game. And when she fed her children, she was really full of ecstasy, Mother Sachi. And even one time it is explained, before she had done a dream, she had a dream. She had a dream, very incredible. And she said to her child, she said, yes, I dreamed. Last night, I dreamed that you and Nitai were in the temple room and you were fighting with the deities of Krishna and Balaram. And at this moment, the deities of Krishna and Balaram, they came out of the altar and you fought over the sweets that we offered you. And you said, oh, you thieves, the sweets belong to us now. Because you are the avatars of the age of Dwapara. Now it's the age of Kali, and the sweets belong to us. And they fought to eat the sweets. And so, Mahaprabhu, he did not say much, he simply said, now I understand why every time my wife Vishnupriya offers an offering, half of the food disappears. I had a doubt that it was her who ate it, but now I understand. It's interesting because the dream of Mother Sachi, it explained why every time Vishnupriya came to offer the food to Krishna and Balaram, why half of the offering came out and disappeared. It's because the offering, it was shared between Krishna, Balaram, and Nitai and Vishvambar every day. There was a love quarrel. There was a love quarrel. And after explaining this, little after that, Mother Sachi, so she came with the offering to serve her two children, Nitai and Gauranga, and she saw two naked boys. One had four arms. In his hands was the conch, the disc, the lotus, the chakra. And the other was of a clear color. They had lotus eyes. The one who had the dark color, he was wearing a kaustubha jewel, and when she saw this, she was astonished. She lost consciousness. All the symptoms of ecstasy appeared in Mother Sachi. And what did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did? It's very interesting. It's interesting because before going to save his mother, he washed his mouth and his feet. He washed his hands and feet, and after he came to save his mother. Interesting. We could say he could have gone right away, but the Lord, before he washed his hands and his mouth, and then he came to run after Mother Sachi. It's incredible the etiquette they were following. And when they came to help Mother Sachi, she took back. She became conscious again and she started to cry. She locked herself in a room thinking about Krishna and Balaram. Because Sachi is Mother Yashoda. She was plunged into extremely deep feelings. And at this moment, Ishan, the servant of Mother Sachi, he was full of devotion and mercy. He took what was left on what fell on the floor, and after that, the Lord took the remnants that were on the floor. It's really interesting. Ishan is the best example of the best servant. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had this reasoning in a poem. He said that he would like to be the dog in the house of the Lord, to eat the remnants, to keep the house from thieves, and to receive the caresses of his master. It's interesting. Ishan had this surrender. He was really surrendered. He's a wonderful servant, Ishan. Always, he was the guardian of the feelings of Mother Sachi. He always served Mother Sachi. We can understand that he is an extremely dear servant of the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When we take care of the Vaishnavas, of their well-being, we become extremely dear to the Lord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the remnants of the Vaishnavas, the water that bathed their feet, their instructions, their mercy, the dust from their feet, all this, it is a very powerful mean to obtain Krishna. As soon as someone obtains these substances, he obtains Krishna. It's very powerful. Extremely powerful. To love Vaishnavas is so powerful. We don't obtain Krishna without the love of Vaishnavas. But it is difficult because we love too much. We love ourselves too much. We have too much love for ourselves. It's so much rooted in us that we simply love people who glorify us, who brings us well-being. But to worship a person, to serve that person, is difficult. What to speak of surrendering completely? It is not in our nature. It is in our nature, but deep within us, we are covered by so much association with the material energy, with passion, ignorance, and goodness, which makes us forget this nature of being a servant. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed us how important it was, service. In which way? He gave himself through his devotees, through his mother. There are so many stories where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he showed how much he was submitted to his servants. Remember when the Lord wanted to go to Jagannath Puri, they even cheated him in his ecstasy, and they brought him to the house of Advaita Acharya. Nitai even broke his danda, the danda of Lord Mahaprabhu. And when the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed in the Ganges thinking it was the Yamuna, there was Advaita Acharya on the boat. He looked at him and said, "What are you doing there? He wanted to go to Vrindavan, yes. He said, "You are in Vrindavan? What are you doing here?" And Advaita Acharya said, "Everywhere you are, it's Vrindavan." It wasn't false because where does the Ganges flows, there are different rivers. But as soon as he heard these words, he was in bliss. And then he realized he was cheated. But it is a cheating of love. Sometimes, when there's really love between the Lord and His servants, or the spiritual master and his disciples, there can be a game of love. We have to be extremely elevated to receive that. We see from there Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, He was kidnapped because he could not leave. They kept him many days. And it was extremely difficult for Mahaprabhu to leave. Extremely difficult because the Lord, first of all, is conquered by the love of his devotees. But it is extremely beautiful. That's why when we read the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can truly understand what is the Vaishnav mood. What is the Vaishnav mood? The Vaishnav mood is not to have a danda or to be guru and make people get afraid of us, but simply to teach people with strict things. Everything should be done by love. Everything should be done by love. But so that we can perceive the love of a Vaishnava, we must have a qualification because it doesn't happen on a material plane. Because on the material plane, when you have a partner, you tell him, I love you, I love you, I love you. The partner says, I love you, I love you, I love you. And then after you say, I love you crazily. But the love of the Vaishnavas is somehow different because it happens on another level. So if we want to understand the love of the Vaishnavas, we must have a qualification to be introduced in the world of Radha and Krishna, in the world of Mahaprabhu. And from there, when we perceive the qualification of the Guru in this eternal service, that means we perceive our qualification and our own service in the service of the Guru. And then what happens? Our experience on the superior platform will apply on the bodily plane also. And sometimes we'll be able to have a mix of the both. That means there will be a situation so intimate between the disciple and the Guru. But if the disciple is not qualified, sometimes the Guru can be in this ecstasy and the disciple think it is material feelings. And then the disciple is fallen. That's why the feelings of the Vaishnavas, we have to be careful. They are not material feelings. Because if we think it is a material feeling, so it can bring us into a suffering and we can receive terrible reaction. That means if we are not qualified, we must have reverence with the Guru. We must have distance. It's very important to understand. Because it is possible. The Vaishnav, he can be dominated by his transcendental feelings and appear like a child. It is explained that like a disciple, if he is pure, he can even see the body of the Guru appears, the transcendental body. The Vaishnava can also show his form. Everything is possible. We see Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, for example. There was thieves that were paid to kill him, and they hid themselves in a grove. And Vishwanath, he felt this. He changed his form. He was in the form of Manjari. And the dacoits, the bandit, when they saw her, they were subjugated by her love, by her beauty. And when they saw him walk further away, they saw Vishwanath take his form again. It is possible. So the point is that until we are not qualified, we must have a distance. Because sometimes we can understand, sometimes we cannot understand. And if we don't understand, and we think the Vaishnava is like, he's in love with us, or then Krishna doesn't like that. Krishna doesn't support things like that. So we will suffer and suffer. I think this is the worst suffering that can exist. Because somehow we are in the highest sphere of receiving the highest mercy. It's really rare. This is where we must be careful. With the Guru, if we are not qualified, we must take a distance. We must be careful. But if we have a qualification, then it's wonderful. Because we can have truly an exchange on a completely spiritual platform. And from there, the feelings we will feel for the Guru, they will save us in fact. Because Krishna says in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that my true worship is the worship of my devotee. So when we love a devotee, this is the highest platform. Krishna says, Shiva explains that more elevated than worship of Vishnu is worship that is connected to Vishnu. His shoes, his throne, his associates, his kingdom. Shiva explains this. This is why we must be careful. We're not on the same level as the Guru. We're not on the same level as Prabhupada. This is why we aspire and we desire through the Guru a feeling of humility, with a feeling of humility to be introduced to receive the mercy. You cannot open your mouth like this in front of the Lord. No worries, I understand, but be careful. You must learn to do a little rest before. Otherwise, in 1 week, you will be tired. You have to sleep earlier. What time did you go to bed? But you slept well? It's very important. We must really understand this science and how truly to approach the Vaishnavas, to consider the Vaishnavas. It's really important. But if we love a Vaishnava, even if we encounter problems in our spiritual life, Krishna will always save us. He will always bring us back. It's the principle. Even at the time of death, we can receive the mercy. Because if a Vaishnava loves us, everything is obtained. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he spoke to Srivas Thakur, he said to Srivas that I'm giving you a special blessing. Even in the goddess Lakshmi in person will beg, you will never be deprived. And everything you affectionate, you have affection for, an animal, everything you have affection for, I will affectionate that person also. It's particular, no? So we could say, why? Because this is the mean to go back to Krishna. We do not have the mean to be pure. But, however, we have the mean to be accepted because the Vaishnavas, if we are truly humble and surrendered, even if we have no qualities, even if we are the greatest miser, if we are miserly, we can obtain the mercy. Because it's very powerful. When someone has a connection with Radha and Krishna, if that person is an associate of the Lord and that he loves you, why will Krishna not take you back? Even the Vaishnava doesn't want to come back alone. If affectionate people, for him, they are as associates. There will be people who will come back with him. They will help him in his service. It's no question he will not come back alone. Everything you did, you will obtain this fruit. Even the lazy ones, the angry ones. It's true. This is our hope. It is that there's a Vaishnava who looks at our service and he thinks, oh, I am indebted Krishna. And this is what is beautiful. This is our hope. There's no other mean. Look, by ourselves? How can we chant? Wake up in the morning, not be tired, not be disturbed, not have hatred, envy, this or that, or hatred. Who is freed from all of this? So this is our hope. Prabhupada said that to those he affectionate, that he will let them enter through the back door. The back door means that even if you're not qualified, you can come back. Back door means is we hide ourselves, to enter easily. It's not like you go in front, like Gopakumar, you go in front and you see Krishna face to face, because Gopakumar is the eternal friend of Krishna. Gopakumar, everywhere he was looking for Krishna. It's a pastime of the Lord. Everywhere. And Krishna also. Even if it lasts even one moment. Krishna was looking for his friend. But the back door means Krishna is not even maybe conscious of this. He is conscious. Because he knows all of us eternally. But it passes through his devotee. It is not possible with the level of consciousness that we have. But still the Vaishnava, he works like a lawyer. He said, "Oh Krishna, I want that this bhakta comes back." Krishna will tell him it's not possible. He doesn't have the love. In my kingdom, we cannot be without love. That's not possible. And the devotee, he cries. He says, Krishna, Krishna, how is that possible? I love him. How is that possible? You understand this? What do you think Krishna will say? He will see the heart of his devotee cry, and his heart will melt. It cannot happen otherwise. How can you not go back to Krishna with this consciousness? You'll do muscular activity in Goloka Vrindavan? You lament in a room? You will be angry? There are people, they are expert here to pick a fight. This is not possible. It doesn't exist there. We don't have any choice but to be a mendicant of the Vaishnava. We have no other choice. This is why, as long as we don't have this faith in us to be a mendicant, nothing happens in our heart. There's no contact. There's nothing. So at one point, naturally, there will be we'll become hopeless. We'll think we have nothing. And this is where Krishna must be merciful. He must give us the intelligence. He will say, you forgot something in your bhakti. It appears everywhere, but you don't understand anything. If you don't have the mercy of my devotee, you will not be able to come back to me. And there, automatically, what happens? We practice for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. We chanted so many millions of holy names. Nothing. And then we'll understand. We have to become serious. We'll pray. We'll pray the Vaishnava. Please help me. Help me. That I can develop attachment for you. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Oh Vaishnava Thakur, purify me from this lust, from this greed, from this madness. Purify me from these 6 faults, and make appear in me these 6 qualities." And Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I run after you. Krishna, Krishna, please give me Krishna. Please give me love of Krishna. Like this, at this point, no? When we have this mentality, what happens? The Vaishnav loves us. Even if we obtain nothing. But if we have this mentality, the Vaishnav loves us. He thinks what, the Vaishnava? He cannot do anything without me. So I will save him. But the one who says, no, I don't need the Guru, no, I am independent, I'll make my life. The other one now will be my Guru, for example. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. It's hard. It doesn't work. This is why there's an attitude to have. There's a reality. And this is the reason why many can't do it. It's a great percentage that don't do it. Even after 40 years, they could be initiated by the greatest Vaishnava and nothing happens. This is why. It's scary. Because you see, people, they are initiated by Prabhupada, but they have no taste. They have no realization. It's not so simple. You just need to be proud a little bit and it stops. All the mercy stops. When we speak about a realization, we don't speak about a small taste. We speak about an experience with Radha and Krishna. We speak about a true experience with Prabhupada. It happens on another platform, another level. When we're surrendered, it is the experience of Vrindavan. We don't speak about jumping into the kirtan and tasting a small ecstasy. We speak about a very deep realization and very rare. This is possible only if there's this attitude, otherwise it's not possible. Because this realization comes only rarely. Krishna gives himself only rarely. But we know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, O Shrivas, I make you a special blessing to you. Give you a special blessing. Never you will be in need, and all those you affectionate. So I will affectionate also. He said the same thing to Ramananda Rai. Everything you affectionate, I will affectionate also. This is direct. It's so powerful. But who has faith in this? Now we hear it now. Who will put that into practice? Who did not hear that 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times? Why it doesn't come? Because we do not have the desire. One day it will come. Krishna must block us. Srila Prabhupada told us, for Krishna to bless us, he takes everything away. The one I bless, I take everything away. Everyone rejects him. Prabhupada said, Krishna took everything away with 10 hands, 100 hands. And then he gave me back everything after. This is why Krishna must be merciful. We won't be able on our own. We won't be able to do it on our own. It's not a method where we can on our own make it. It's not possible. This state of conditioning, of darkness, of ignorance, it cannot be surpassed. Simply when Krishna is satisfied, so everything reveals itself. This knowledge of our relationship with the Supreme Lord, Bhagavatam explains it is just like a treasure. It is the queen of all knowledge. But for this to be efficient, we need humility. That's why Mahaprabhu taught a lot about humility. The attitude. The attitude is most important. There are so many things to disturb us in this world. It's true, it's hard. So many things. But we must continue, persist. And one day, we will attain success. Thank you very much.